Have you ever wondered why human beings, even when surrounded by love and abundance, can suddenly become the target of cruelty from those closest to them? Psychology teaches us that the deepest wounds rarely come from strangers. They come from the people we trust, the people who should protect us. And when betrayal strikes at that level, the pain is almost unbearable. Imagine a young millionaire girl, born into comfort and luxury, her world filled with love because her father cherished her more than anything. But the moment he closes his eyes forever, the same house that once felt like a palace becomes her prison, ruled by the cold hands of a stepmother who sees her not as family, not as a daughter, but as an obstacle to wealth and control. The tragedy here is not only in the shift from silk dresses to scrubbing floors, but in the psychological violence of being stripped of identity, dignity, and belonging. As women, you may see yourself in her story because society often does the same. It adores you when you are shining, when men are obsessing over your beauty, when you are useful to their image or desires, but the moment they feel threatened by your independence, your worth is reduced in their eyes. This girl's life mirrors the silent battle so many women face. Loved one moment, objectified, or suppressed the next. Men's obsession is not always about love, it is often about control. They chase, they desire, they compete to own you. And when they cannot, they seek to diminish you. Her stepmother's cruelty reflects the same hunger for power, just from another angle. The truth is, envy and obsession are twins. When people cannot rise to your level, they will do everything to pull you down to theirs. That millionaire girl's fall into servitude is not just a tale of injustice, but a mirror of how society sometimes celebrates your light while plotting to dim it. Think about how often women are praised for their beauty, their charm, their success, and yet, behind the praise, whispers of envy, insecurity, and manipulation grow louder. This is why we must train our hearts not to rely on the shallow applause of the world, but to build strength within, strength that no stepmother, no man, no society can take away. The girl, forced into slavery in her own home, had two choices: believe the lies spoken about her, or hold on to the truth her father planted in her heart, that she was valuable, loved, and worthy beyond measure. And isn't that the same choice every woman must make? When men obsess over your body instead of your soul, when the world wants to measure your worth by beauty, age, or status, will you crumble into their lies or stand tall in your truth? Her story teaches us that being reduced to a servant doesn't make you less of a queen. It only tests whether you truly know your crown is within, not on your head. So, if you've ever felt unseen, unloved, or misused, remember this girl's story. She reminds you that luxury and wealth can be stolen, but your inner worth cannot. And that is your power, because obsession, envy, and cruelty will always exist. But your choice to rise above them will define your legacy. Never let someone's attempt to reduce you succeed. A servant in chains on the outside can still be a queen on the inside. And that inner crown is what no one can ever take from you. Isn't it strange how people can live in the same house, under the same roof, yet carry two completely different lives? One that the world sees, and one that only the heart knows? A millionaire girl, born into a life of wealth, was once seen by neighbors and relatives as a symbol of privilege. Everyone thought she had everything: beautiful clothes, expensive jewelry, a mansion that sparkled from the outside. But inside, those same walls, behind the locked doors, she was treated like a servant by her stepmother. While the world believed she was living a dream, the truth was that she was living a nightmare. This is the reality of invisible suffering, the pain that no one sees, the humiliation that hides behind smiles, and the loneliness that grows louder when no one believes your cries. How many women today can relate to this? You may look fine on the outside, posting pictures, attending events, laughing at dinners, but deep inside you are carrying battles that no one else can see. People assume you are strong because you look strong. They assume you are happy because you smile. But pain does not always announce itself. Sometimes it wears makeup. Sometimes it wears silence. Sometimes it hides behind a forced laugh. That girl's life as a hidden servant is a mirror of the struggles many women silently endure. Treated unfairly, misjudged, underestimated, and yet expected to keep quiet because society does not want to see what lies behind the perfect image. The cruelest part of her story was not only the endless chores, the constant insults, or the loss of freedom, it was the fact that nobody believed her truth. Outsiders still thought she was a millionaire's daughter enjoying luxury, while inside she was crying in dark corners, scrubbing the very floors she once danced on as a child. This teaches us something profound. Appearances can lie, and we must never judge a woman's worth, her life, or her happiness based on what we see from the outside. Every woman must understand this. Your value is not in the smiles you force for society, not in the clothes you wear to hide your scars, not in how well you pretend that everything is okay. Your value lies in your strength to keep walking even when your steps feel heavy, in your resilience to keep loving even when the world has been cruel to you, in your courage to rise even when no one claps for you. That girl's hidden suffering is a reminder that silence does not mean weakness. It often means strength so deep that words cannot contain it. So the next time you feel unseen, remind yourself that you are not alone. Many women live two lives, the one society thinks they live, and the one they truly endure. The key is not to let the hidden pain destroy your spirit. The girl in the mansion was treated like a servant, but she never forgot that she was a daughter of a millionaire, worthy of respect, love, and dignity. And that is the same truth you must hold on to. No matter how people treat you, no matter how invisible your suffering feels, your worth cannot be erased by anyone's cruelty. One day, the truth will be revealed, and the world will see what you've carried all along. Until then, keep your crown within. You are far more powerful than the silence you hide behind. Have you noticed how cruelty often wears the mask of superiority? How people use differences, skin color, culture, status, or even the way you look, as excuses to strip away your dignity? The millionaire girl who found herself enslaved by her own stepmother was not just punished because of wealth or inheritance, she was also humiliated because of prejudice. The stepmother saw her not as a daughter, not even as a human being deserving of kindness, but as someone less, someone to be controlled and broken. This is what racism and discrimination do. They reduce a person's soul to labels, they make humanity invisible, and they allow cruelty to grow unchecked in hearts already poisoned by greed. For women, this story is painfully familiar. How many times have you been judged not for who you are, but for what you look like? How many times have you been treated as if you were not enough because of the shade of your skin, the accent in your voice, or the background you come from? The girl's story is a reminder that discrimination doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it comes from family, from people who should love you but instead choose to degrade you. That is why her suffering strikes so deeply, because it shows that prejudice is not only in society, but often within the very walls we call home. The stepmother's words were like knives, always reminding her of how different, how unwanted, how unworthy she supposedly was. She was made to feel like a servant, not just in labor, but in identity. And isn't that what racism does? It convinces you that no matter what you achieve, no matter what you inherit, you will always be less in the eyes of those who refuse to see beyond their prejudice. But here lies the hidden truth. People only belittle what threatens them. Her stepmother's cruelty was not proof of the girl's weakness, but of her power. It was fear disguised as authority, envy disguised as control. Every woman must understand that discrimination and judgment are never reflections of your worth. They are reflections of the insecurities of the one casting them. When someone reduces you to your race, your looks, or your background, it is because they cannot handle the greatness you carry within. The millionaire girl's silence in the face of insults was not submission, it was survival. She endured the stepmother's prejudice not because she believed it, but because she was waiting for her truth to outlast the lies. And that is the lesson every woman must hold on to. You may be underestimated, you may be treated unfairly, you may be looked down on, but your essence cannot be destroyed unless you surrender it. Prejudice can chain your body, but it cannot chain your spirit unless you let it. The girl who was forced into servitude still carried the blood of her father, still carried the dignity of who she was born to be, and no amount of insults could erase that truth. So if you have ever felt like society, men or even family judged you for things beyond your control, remember her story. Remember that labels are lies, and your worth is not negotiable. The world may try to define you by color, by beauty, by background, but you must define yourself by courage, by resilience, and by truth. And in the end, the same world that tried to break you will have no choice but to witness your rise. Why is it that some people collapse under pain while others rise stronger through it? The millionaire girl, who was forced into servitude by her stepmother, had every reason to lose herself. She had tasted luxury, she had known love, and she had been raised as a daughter of privilege. To suddenly be reduced to scrubbing floors and enduring insults in her own home could have broken her spirit completely. But here is where her story shifts from tragedy to triumph. Because instead of allowing cruelty to define her, she chose to hold on to an inner strength that even chains could not take away. Her father had once told her, "Your worth is not in what others give you, it is in what you carry inside." These words echoed in her mind during the darkest nights. And isn't this the truth that so many women forget? We are conditioned to believe our value lies in what people say about us, how they treat us, how they love us, or how they choose to accept us. But what happens when the very people who should nurture us are the ones who degrade us? Do we collapse, or do we rise? That girl's survival teaches us that strength is not about circumstances. It is about choice, even in chains. Of servitude, she reminded herself of who she truly was. She was not just a servant, not just a victim, not just a girl locked away in silence. She was a daughter of a millionaire, born with dignity, intelligence, and power within her soul. And this is where many women must pause and reflect. How many of you have allowed insults, betrayals, or society's judgments to bury your worth? How many of you have forgotten that what you are born with, your resilience, your courage, your brilliance, cannot be taken away no matter how harsh the world becomes? The stepmother's obsession with breaking her spirit revealed something. Profound. When people sense your inner power, they try to silence it. They will call you names. They will belittle you. They will reduce you to less than you are. But their attempt to crush you is actually proof of how strong you are. The Millionaire. Girl could have given up. She could have accepted the lies. But instead, she planted strength in her heart. Every insult became fuel. Every humiliation became a test. Every moment of servitude became a reminder that she still had the power to choose how she saw herself. And isn't that the greatest lesson? Life will not always give you comfort, love, or fairness. People will betray, envy, and even enslave you in different forms, through judgment, through obsession, through cruelty. But none of that has the power to rewrite your identity unless you hand it over. That girl held her crown within even when it was invisible on the outside, and eventually that inner strength became the reason she rose again. So, to every woman who feels chained by circumstances, remember this. Strength is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay down. They may strip you of titles, silence your voice, or try to bury your spirit. But if you hold on to the truth of who you are, you will rise. And when you rise, you will not only free yourself, you will expose the weakness of those who tried to break you. Isn't it powerful to realize that no matter how long lies live, the truth always finds its way to the surface? The millionaire girl, who was reduced to a servant by her stepmother, lived years in silence, carrying the weight of humiliation and cruelty, while the world assumed she was still living in luxury. But injustice never lasts forever, and the strength she carried within eventually became the key to her freedom. Her story shows us that even when you are trapped in a dark season, there is always a day when the light returns, and the oppressor must face the truth they worked so hard to bury. Cho, stepmother, believed she had won. She thought that by stripping the girl of her dignity, by hiding her behind locked doors and endless chores, she had erased her completely. But no amount of cruelty can erase destiny. No amount of lies can silence the truth. And this is where her story transforms, not just into survival, but into justice. One day, the truth came out. The girl's rightful inheritance, her identity, her dignity, all of it came back. And the very hands that tried to destroy her were exposed before everyone. Doesn't this remind us that those who abuse their power eventually become prisoners of their own deceit? For women listening to this story, take this lesson to heart. You may be mistreated today. You may feel silenced. You may even feel invisible. But time has a way of revealing everything. Do not believe for 1 second that injustice is permanent. Life has a rhythm, and in that rhythm, the seeds of truth always rise through the soil of lies. The millionaire girl endured her stepmother's cruelty not because she was weak, but because she understood something greater, that patience, faith, and resilience would one day bring her freedom. Her victory was not just about reclaiming wealth or status. Her true victory was in proving that no one can define your worth but you. The stepmother's hatred did not destroy her. It exposed her own emptiness. And isn't that the ultimate justice? That those who try to bury you end up burying themselves in the pit they dug for you? The girl's return to her rightful place became a testimony, not just for her, but for every woman who has ever been told she is less, every woman who has been hidden, silenced, or enslaved in any form. This is why her story matters to you. Because when you face betrayal, when people strip you of what is yours, when cruelty seems louder than justice, remember her. Remember that your silence today does not mean your defeat tomorrow. Remember that strength in the shadows becomes power in the light. And when justice finally arrives, it will not just restore what you lost. It will elevate you higher than before. So hold on, even when it feels like no one sees your struggle. Believe that the truth is stronger than every lie spoken against you. And when the day comes, stand tall, because your rise will not only be your healing, it will be a message to the world that no cruelty, no prejudice, no obsession can ever destroy the spirit of a woman who refuses to give up.